Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon or good evening depending on when and where you are watching this, and welcome back to the Knit Crochet Read Repeat podcast. My name is Kirsty, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm coming to you from Paisley, which is just a stone's throw away from Glasgow in Scotland. So today's video is going to be something a little bit different. I was watching the Home Tea Knits podcast and I saw that she done a 10 question tag, and I thought the questions were really quite interesting, and she was just like, tag yourself and then tag her when you do the video. So I thought, let's just try that. And so this is obviously open to anyone who wants to do it if you're also recording a podcast, but I am going to tag Maddie of House of Langford and see if she wants to do the 10 question tag. So the 10 question tag was started by Coco's Crochet, and it was really aimed at crocheters, but I'm personally going to answer for both knitting and crochet. So I will pop the 10 questions down below, but that is just something to bear in mind, that it was aimed at crochet, but you can obviously alter it to any craft. You could do cross stitch or spinning, etc, etc. So the first question is, how did you learn to crochet and knit? So first of all, knitting. My mum taught me to knit at quite a young age, but at some point, like, I really stepped away from it and went until my teens before I picked knitting back up. But when I came back to crafting, I picked crochet up first. And as far as I'm aware, my gran was not a crocheter. My mum wasn't at that point, and so I learned through YouTube. And I, at that point, did not know that there was a UK terminology and a US terminology, and I only learned the US equivalent. It was all American videos that I was watching. I didn't know to look for ones that had the UK terminology. So I'm fully self-taught crochet in that respect. And when I tried the first time, I watched the video and I got the chain, and then I couldn't figure out the single crochet, and me being me got super frustrated and just was just like, no, and just put it down and never went back to it for like 6 months. And then when the notion struck again, I picked it up, and I don't know, something must have clicked, or maybe I was just being way more patient that day, but it made way more sense, and I was able to do what the video was telling me to do. So that was when I was around 18 or 19. I was on annual leave. I was on summer leave from college in between years, and needed something to keep me busy. And then not long after that, I think at that point, like, there wasn't a big community for indie crocheters and indie crochet designers, and so a lot of what was back then was a lot of pineapple stitch, and I really started to detest that stitch. And so that's when I moved back to knitting, and I had like a refresher with my mum on how to knit, and basically the rest is history after that. Question 2 is, favourite thing to make? That's a toughie. I love making socks. I love knitting socks. But there's also just something really awesome about blankets that I just can't get enough of right now. But I think it's fair to say I mostly crochet my blankets. I don't tend to knit my blankets. So I'd say favourite thing to make, crochet, blanket. Favourite thing to knit, socks. Question 3. If you could only use one yarn for the rest of your life, what would it be? Super soft merino. I have quite sensitive skin on my back, And so for the likes of garments and stuff, I do find soft merino is the best for me. And then you can obviously make blankets out of that, you can make socks out of that, but you might be more prone to holes if there's no nylon content. So I would then maybe alter my answer to like a 75-25 merino nylon, but preferably like a softer merino than the kind of toothier sock yarns that you can get. Question 4. The weirdest thing you've made so far? I've made so much stuff. I've made so much random stuff, and I have a really bad memory. Okay, so because I can see it, I'm gonna say I made the TARDIS police box. I made that for Scott. I made it for one of his birthdays. I worked so hard on that. He still has it. He still has kept it. It's on display in our living room. I'm looking at it right now. I'd have to say that mostly because I don't actually remember a lot of the stuff I've made. So there's that. But there is probably something a lot weirder that I've made. Let's be completely honest. There's definitely something weirder. Question 5. Something you'll never crochet or knit. So I will never crochet or knit underwear. I know there was a bit of a phase or a trend going around like a year, maybe 2 years ago, where people wanted to like knit or crochet their own undergarments. And it's different if it's like a bralette. I'm talking like pants, which if you're watching from America, panties, or just underwear. Again, I do think it's different if it's a bralette. I know bralettes were very popular. I've not made one. If I did, I would wear over like a bra, so it wouldn't really technically be a bralette. But yeah, that's something I don't think I'll ever make. I also don't think I'll ever knit trousers, or like leggings or anything like that, and that's no shade to anybody that has, but as a plus size person, I already need a lot of yarn for like a jumper or something. I couldn't imagine how much I'd need for trousers. Question 6. Where do you get inspiration? Oh, that is a good question. So many things can give me inspiration. Like if I am out just walking around trying to kind of like boost my energy, or watching podcasts can be a huge inspiration for me. I get a lot of pattern suggestions from different podcasters. The number of times like I've watched a podcast and then been like, oh, I've got to go buy that pattern. Like I am a marketer's happy dream, basically. I am their dream clientele. Like I see stuff, I'm like, oh, I've got to buy that. And it's the same for like patterns and yarn and stuff. So yeah, inspiration can come from so many different places. Instagram. I don't know if I just said Instagram can come from so many places. I think if I didn't, I might have said inspiration, and that was the correct thing to say. My brain is frazzled. So yeah, inspiration can come from Instagram, Ravelry, podcasts, going for walks, going around the shops, being in yarn shops, like seeing different yarn and stuff. So it can come from everywhere. It really just depends on my mood, really. And question 7, favorite thing you've made this year? Crochet, it would have to be my mushroom grai by Critter Stitch. And knitting, oof, I've not done a whole bunch of knitting this year. Like I've done a lot of knitting, don't get me wrong, But a lot of what I've made this year is socks. So I think I would have to go with my either the Cala tea, or if it was this year, again, we go back to that bad memory of mine, the Toaster tea. So either the Cala tea or the Toaster. The Cala is by Pip and Pin, and the Toaster is by Rebecca Clow. So two very different patterns, but both gorgeous garments. Crochet plans you're excited about this year, and then also knitting plans I'm excited about. So crochet plans, I am making a blanket that is going to be going towards a fundraiser, and I'm recording a whole separate video series for that because it's very, very close to my heart, and that video series will not be out anytime soon. I haven't actually even started crocheting the blanket yet. The yarn has turned up today. So I'm very excited to start though. I hope to get started once I have at least one project finished. But we will see. That project is giving me a lot of problems. Stay tuned for my next podcast and or the dedicated video to this project, and you will be able to see what I'm on about. So crochet plans I'm excited for would be my fundraiser blanket. Knitting plans I'm excited about. I'm trying to think of the pattern name now, but Suzanne Summers has just like regained the rights or publicly released a pattern that she had for a yarn advent in 2024, and there's a knit along that starts for that tomorrow, and I bought the pattern and I just need to get my mini skeins all sorted, so I'm really excited about that one. But is that what I'm most excited about this year? Like, what were my other knitting plans? If it's not the shawl by Suzanne Summers, again, I'm so sorry that I don't remember the name of it. I am recording on my phone, so I can't check my files. If it's not Suzanne Summers' shawl, then I reckon it's just having my yarn club this year and having 12 different full skeins of like surprise yarn that I'm making into 12 pairs of socks. And then anything left over I want to make into like a really big long cowl, which I think would be really awesome. So yeah, I'm going to go with that as my answer and see. Because off the top of my head, like, I can't think of anything. I know what I'm going to be crocheting. I don't know what I'm going to be knitting. Question 9. Worst thing about crochet. And then worst thing about knitting. Combined that I don't have enough time to do everything I want to do. Separately, the worst thing about crochet is that it just uses so much more wool. The worst thing about knitting, I don't know. The worst thing about knitting is that sometimes I slice my thumb open. And you're probably sitting there going, how are you knitting that you're cutting your thumb? A lot of the time when I am doing my socks on my 9-inch circular needle and I am purling, I use my ChiaoGu's, which are not necessarily sharp. I've worked with sharper, like oh goodness, there's a brand of needle and they literally do sharps, and they're really sharp. Like, I've cut my finger on those, not just my thumb. But just recently I cut my thumb whilst I was purling on the ribbing of a sock, and that really hurt. And I've still got, there we go, I had a wee bit of skin from it that was still healing. So yeah, I'd say that I can cut my fingers. That is probably a very small number of people that might happen to, or just me being very special. So worst thing combined, I just don't have enough time. Sometimes I don't have enough energy, which really sucks because my brain wants to make the stuff. It wants to be creative. It wants to be productive. But my body just is like, no, we just want to veg out. And then separately, worst thing about crochet, I would say, is that it just uses up so much more yarn. And then the worst thing about knitting is that I can get injuries. Favourite thing about knitting and crochet. Favourite thing about crochet? Oh, the blankets. So many blankets. Favourite thing about knitting is I like the look of knitting. I think it's lovely. And I'm talking more stockinette stitch. I like the fact I can fly through a pair of socks, or I can quickly do like a quick knitted tee. And again, I know you can do all of that in crochet, but it's the look of stockinette that I really like. So yeah, I'd say blankets for crochet is my favourite, and stockinette knitting for knitting, obviously. Yeah. So random, I know, to really like the look of stockinette. It's just so simple. It can be really elegant. It's really simple, and you can just fly through stuff. Like I can just sit with like a movie on, or Scott's playing a video game, and I can just work through a vanilla sock, and before I know it, I'm through the leg of the sock and I'm onto the heel, and then before I know it, I'm through the foot of the sock and I'm onto the toe. Or once I've done like raglan increases, I can just work straight on the body and not think about it and just go round and round and round. So maybe it's the simplicity and the look of stockinette, but it's also the simplicity and lack of brain power that I sometimes need. And I can just zone out and just work, and I will have something at the end of the day. Don't know, maybe that sounds weird, but it's just how my brain is. So yeah, those were the 10 questions, and again, this was started by Coco's Crochet, and I'm taking this from Home Tea Knits podcast. I will pop the 10 questions down. Oh, excuse me, hiccup. I will pop the 10 questions down below in the description box. Please feel free to check them out. And if you do have your own podcast channel, please do record and tag me to let me see your answers. I'm going to be tagging Home Tea Knits so that she can see my answers. And I'll even probably tag Coco's Crochet so that she can see just how far this is going. Or sorry, they can see how far this is going, because I don't know the owner of Coco's Crochet podcast channel. So yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed this. Do feel free to even just answer the questions in the comments below if you don't even have you don't even have to have a podcast channel. Like, what are your answers? What questions did you not like? What questions did you really like? I think my favorite question was the weirdest thing you've made. It's just frustrating that I don't remember too much. But just remembering the process of making the TARDIS box, that's pretty cool. And the memories of like why I made it, who I made it for, and just the fact that he still loves that piece, like absolutely loves that. So that was really nice. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below. And until the next video, please do stay safe and happy crafting. Bye.